Do this exercise with me. Think of the earliest memory you have, the very first one that comes to mind. Got it? It's probably blurry, a birthday party, a trip somewhere, your first day of school. And if you're being honest, you are not 100% if you actually live it or you saw it in a photo later. But here's what is certain: nothing before age 3 or 4. Nothing at all. You were born, you took your first breath, you cried, you ate, you make epic disaster in your diaper, you learned to crawl, you took your first step, and you remember none of it. Absolutely none. It's like the first years of your life happening to someone else entirely. Why? What goes wrong? Is it normal? Does it happen to everyone? Yes, 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 and yes. And today I'm going to explain exactly what's going on there, because the answer involves unfinished brain cables, files with no name, and a small existential crisis about whether you even existed before age 3. Let's go. First, what even is a memory? Before we talk about why we don't remember, we need to understand what a memory actually is. Because most people picture it like a recording, like the brain is a camera that captures everything and stores it on some internal server. Spoiler, it doesn't work like that at all. A memory is not a recording, it's a reconstruction. Every time you remember something, your brain isn't playing back a saved video. It's rebuilding the same right now, in the moment, with whatever information it has available, like an actor improvising based on an incomplete script. This means memories change over time. They get distorted. They blend with other things. They get contaminated by how you feel today. Ever argued with someone about how something happened, and you're both completely convinced you're right? That's exactly this. Two different reconstructions of the same event. Memories are liars by nature, not because we're bad people, but because that's just how the brain works. And this is crucial for understanding the baby thing, because if memory are this fragile in adults, imagine a brain that's still under construction. The baby brain, a construction site. Now we get into it. The brain of a newborn is one of the most remarkable things that exists. It has approximately 100 billion neurons, same number as an adult. Pretty impressive, right? The problem isn't the quantity, it's the connections. Neurons need to be connected to each other to work. Those connections are called synapses. An adult brain has around 100 trillion synaptic connections. A newborn baby has a fraction of that. It's like having all the cables of entire city, but none of them connected to anything yet. Now, there's a key process called myelination. Myelin is a fatty layer that coats the axon, which are basically the cables connecting neurons, and the coating makes signals travel up to 100 times faster. Without myelin, the signal is slow, gets lost, and gets distorted. With myelin, it flies. And the area of the brain responsible for forming and consolidating long-term memories, the hippocampus, doesn't finish myelinating until around age 2 or 3. Before that, trying to form a lasting memory is like trying to send a text message with one bar of signal. The message goes out, but it never arrives. The good news, that same construction process is what makes baby learn everything else so incredibly fast. The brain is in turbo development mode. It just can't do everything at once. The hippocampus, the broken filing cabinet. The hippocampus is the main character of this story. It's a brain structure shaped like a seahorse. That's actually what the name means in Greek. And its main job is to take day-to-day experience and convert them into long-term memories. Without a working hippocampus, you can have experience. You live them in the moment, but they don't get saved. The most famous case in the history of the neuroscience is a man known as H.M. Henry Morrison. In the 1950s, doctor removed part of his hippocampus to treat his epilepsy. And the result was that Henry could perfectly remember everything that happened before the surgery. But from that day forward, every new experience disappeared within minutes. He met the doctor. They have a conversation, the doctor will leave the room, come back and Henry would greet him as if it was the very first time they'd meet, every single day, for decades, until he died in 2008. That's what the hippocampus does. In babies, the hippocampus is under construction. It's now broken. It's growing. But the practical result is the same. Experience don't get filed into long-term storage. They're like notes writing on wet paper. The ink exists for a moment, and then it's gone. No words, no memory. But there's another problem on top of the problem, and this one is more philosophical. Human beings encode a huge part of their memory in language. When you experience something, your brain doesn't just store images and sensations, it labels them with words. That was at the beach, Mom told me that. That was when I was scared. Words work like the file name. Without a name, the file exists, but you can never find it again. Babies don't have language, or they have very little. A 1-year-old knows maybe 5 to 10 words. They have no way to label an experience with the complexity needed to make it retrievable later. And studies compare this. Children who develop language early tend to have early memories. Those who develop it later have a longer gap. There are even cultures with specific rituals for making childhood events with the stories and words. And children from those cultures tend to remember those specific events later in life. The conclusion is strange, but makes sense. You need to be able to tell yourself what happened to you in order to remember it later. If you don't have the words, the experience is lived, but never filed. The self that doesn't exist yet. And now we get to the part that I find most unsettling about all of this. To remember something as yours, you need to have a self, a sense of identify, a notion that is a me who had that experience. I was there, that happened to me. I felt that. Babies don't have that yet. The simple self develops gradually. There is a classic experiment called the mirror test. You put a baby in front of a mirror and secretly put a mark on their forehead. If the baby touches their own forehead when they see the mirror, they understand that image is them. They recognize their own reflection. When do babies pass this test? Generally, between 18 months and 2 years. Before that, a baby looks in the mirror and sees another baby. They don't know that's them. Now, think about what that means for memory. If you don't know that you are you, if there's no clear self, whose name does the memory keep saying under? It's like trying to save a file on a computer that doesn't know which user folder is its own. The file doesn't know where to go, it just floats. That's why the first memory most people have always included a clear eye. I was sad, I fell down, I saw. The eye is at the minimum condition for memory to have an anchor. The fake memories of childhood. And here's the final twist. You know those people who claim to remember things from when they were 2 years old or even earlier? In most cases, they are not remembering the event. They're remembering the story of event. And that's a massive difference. Your parents told you that at age 2 you fell down at the park and cried. There are photos from that day. You heard the story so many times that your brain has built a memory of it. But it's not a real memory. It's a reconstruction built from external information. There are studies where research actually managed to implant false memories in adults. They convincingly told participants they had experienced certain events as children. After a few sessions, the participants didn't just believe they had lived it. They started adding their own details that never exist. The brain doesn't distinguish well between "I lived this" and "someone told me this so vividly that it feels like mine." And this is especially powerful in childhood because we have no personal anchor, no real memories of our own to compare against. So, if someone tells you they remember being 18 months old, with all due respect, probably not. Infantile amnesia. It's okay not to remember. All of this has an official scientific name, infantile amnesia, and it's universal. It doesn't matter if you're from Brazil, Japan, Nigeria, or Norway. It doesn't matter what language you speak or what culture you come from. Every single human being on the planet has this memory kept in their early years. And far from being a flaw, it's part of something extraordinary. While you couldn't remember anything, your brain was doing something incredible, connecting hundred trillion synapses, learning to walk, learning to talk, learning to recognize face, learning to process emotion, building an understanding of the world completely from scratch. It was too much work to also keep detailed records of everything. So, the next time someone asks if you remember being a baby, you can respond with full scientific confidence. No, my hippocampus had incomplete myelination. Unlike their language required to encode the experience semantically, and my sense of self wasn't sufficiently developed to anchor an autobiographical memory. Biologically impossible. Or just, nope, don't remember. Both answers are correct. If you made it this far, you now know more about your own memory than 99% of people.
Subscribe, because next week we're coming with something even more unsettling upon how your brain works. I promise.